Good evening guys, I hope we're all doing very well, and like always, welcome back to a brand new video. Now, I'm going to kickstart this video with something just a little bit different to what I would usually do, something that I've never brought to the channel, something that I get a lot of questions about, and something I thought I would actually go into depth with a little bit and cover and really be able to maybe provide a little bit of value to you guys in terms of what you could do to maximise your progression in the gym, because I feel as if this is definitely something that a lot of people are maybe a little bit concerned about, a lot of people are worried about, a lot of people maybe don't know what to actually get, and I thought what better to do than, because I get a lot of questions about it, why not actually go over it in depth a little bit to do with what I use in the gym, what I don't use in the gym, why I use it, etc, etc, etc. So without further ado guys, I hope you enjoy this one. If you do enjoy it, please do not forget to drop the video a like for me, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and let's get on with this video. I have my trusty old gym bag, the Strength Shop one. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to go over the reason behind me being able to progress over a long period of time, and on top of that, me being able to actually not suffer from too many injuries, I'm going to say, because I haven't not suffered from injuries, that's not the case. I have suffered from injuries, I've just been able to work around them, but what has actually prevented me from maybe suffering worse injuries, because I've been able to remain supported. Now, I'm going to take you guys through this gym bag, what I take to the gym with me, what I think you guys should take to the gym with you, and really we're going to be able to take things from there. First of all, we've got a set of sleeves in here. Now, these ones here are actually my knee sleeves, so this is definitely something that I do feel is very necessary. I'm not going to say any of these things are essential, because at the end of the day they are not essential, but something like knee sleeves is most definitely a very necessary thing, especially for more so keeping the joint warm over anything else. If you put knee sleeves on, they're not going to do the work for you. They are going to provide a lot of support around that knee joint area, that patella joint, where you want to actually have it remain as warm as possible, as supported as possible throughout something like a pressing variation or a squat variation for that matter. So I would most definitely recommend that you do use knee sleeves, especially whenever you are training nice and heavy whenever it comes to legs. Another pair of sleeves here, so again, these are for your elbows. Now, exact same again guys, these are not going to do the work for you. So don't ever think that you can't get a set of sleeves because you feel as if it's cheating, or you've seen somebody not use them and you think, right, oh, I can't use them because they're not using them. That would just be me cheating. They're not. They are not cheating. These are providing support, and especially throughout a more so scenario of, we're not really looking at it from a kind of powerlifting background, because if you're a powerlifter, then you're really only going to be able to work with more or less one piece of equipment, and that is wrist straps. And again, obviously ensuring that they are more so like IPF approved, or whatever federation you're doing approved, you will be able to use them. So you can't really use anything else whenever you're a powerlifter. However, putting that to the side, general fitness trainer, bodybuilder, power builder, strongman, whatever you want to call yourself, whenever you're training for hypertrophy, whenever you're training to get stronger, whenever you're training for progressive overload, and you're wanting your progression to last long term, you're wanting to actually remain as supported as possible long term, elbow sleeves are most definitely one of them things that I would say is a necessary as well. Now, in terms of sleeves, you can get them in single ply, double ply, triple ply. It totally depends how much support you want. I would always recommend anything upwards of single and double ply for that more so warmth around the joint, that you can keep them on pretty much throughout the full session. If you go triple ply, then realistically speaking, you're more or less going to have to bring them off and on, because they are much more supported, which means they're much more tighter. But at the end of the day, it's totally up to yourself guys whether you want that additional support or you want less support. Knee wraps, so again you'll see they are obviously wrapped up there. These aren't a necessary like your sleeves. I would always recommend sleeves first, then wraps second, but I would more so look at wraps whenever you're maybe getting closer to them, a really heavy working sets, that you're getting to that point where you just think sleeves might not be enough support. Wraps then do come into play then. Wraps are also a very good accessory and piece of equipment for you if you're maybe working around an injury and you maybe think you're not getting enough support from the sleeves. Then you could incorporate something like wraps. You will get a little bit more from these, I will say that. You're not going to get the work done for you, but you will get a little bit more, maybe between maybe 20 and 30%, I believe, on top of your, say for example, your 5 rep max whatever that is, add maybe 10 or 20 or 30% on top of that, and you will get that from wraps, because you are getting that essentially little bit of spring from the bottom. Now, don't get me wrong, again guys, wraps are not cheating. They will give you a little bit more, but they're not cheating. It's not as if you can't incorporate these in because you think they're giving you too much. If you don't want to put them in, simple as that, don't put them in. But again guys, I've always been a big user of wraps, even from the very start. Don't get me wrong, now I will utilise sleeves a little bit more because I've just kind of went through the motions of getting really strong in wraps, to the point where I was like squatting 300 kilograms in wraps. But I just wanted to get to that point where, right, I switched it up. Sometimes I really can't be bothered putting these on as well. That's what you have to take on board. They do take quite a little bit of time over sleeves. You essentially just pull the sleeves on. Wraps, you've got to kind of take a couple of minutes to put them on. However, like I said to you, none of this stuff is essential. But wraps are most definitely something that I would recommend if you're, one, at that very, very, very heavy point where you're maybe even squatting upwards of 240, 250, 260. Then again, you can put the wraps on if you're looking for them extra few reps. But on top of that guys, say for example, you are just one to want to use wraps for that extra bit of support over sleeves, absolutely do that. There is not a single thing wrong with it whatsoever. I will always have my wraps on me, that is one thing. I will never go through a phase where I just use sleeves and sleeves only. I will always bring them with me, so they will always be there for them bigger heavy sets that I maybe just want that extra little bit of support from. We've got my wrist straps, which again guys, if you use these correctly, they can be very efficient. A lot of people, what you will see is people will just wrap them around their wrists and just be able to keep them on throughout the full session. But what you've got to take on board here is these are providing support around that wrist joint area. So you don't want to be able to go like this whenever you have them on, because if you've got that sort of movement and mobility and freedom around that wrist area whenever you've got your wrist straps on, they're not going to provide any sort of support or benefit whatsoever, because you've got to take on board as well that these are for the stabilizing joints and to make sure that you are fixed in that position. So when you're pressing them really heavy dumbbells, or you're on a heavy machine, or you're on a heavy weight within whatever you're doing for some sort of press and movement, you want to be able to make sure that the stabilizing joints around your wrist area don't have that freedom, because that is where the support is keeping you nice and fixed in position. Again, I would make sure that these are probably unnecessary whenever it does come to that heavy pressing time, because especially if, for example, you're moving into a fat loss phase where you're losing support around that given area, because of course we have to take on board and remember that we lose support around the more so areas that we need that support. So elbows when you're in a fat loss phase, wrists when you're in a fat loss phase, knees whenever you're in a fat loss phase. That additional bit of body fat that you would have in a push-up phase is the support. So whenever you drop that support, you want to be able to make sure that you can utilize things like this very easily. So again guys, if anybody is wondering where I get all of my stuff from, you know already, Strength Shop. If anybody's new to the channel, I get all of my stuff from Strength Shop. You can literally just use code KiffyWest and that will get you a little bit of discount as well. But these, but Strength Shop provide nothing but quality over anything else. So that is something that I will say. I've used them for years, and still to this day, they are one place that I will never, ever, ever go away from. I always use them. So wrist straps there. Like I said, guys, nothing is essential, but wrist straps I would definitely say are necessary, especially whenever you're dropping body fat and you want that additional bit of support. Next up, we have got wrist straps. So just remember, guys, there's the difference. Wrist straps and wrist wraps. Wrist straps, I would 110% say that these are an essential. Unless you're a powerlifter, like I've said again guys, unless you're working with high volume, then you might be using them. But putting powerlifting to the side, wrist straps are one of them things that I don't care what you say. You're not working on your grip, you're not trying to get your grip stronger, you're not doing anything to do with your grip. If you're working again on hypertrophy, you're working on progressive overload, you're working in rep ranges of between maybe 8 and 12 for anything, pull downs, rows, deadlifts, block pulls, whatever you're doing, wrist straps are an essential. You must have these, because these are what compensate for your grip to the point where you take your grip out of the equation completely. You are able to actually perform so much better within sets, and you don't need to worry about your hands slipping. You don't need to worry about dropping the bar. You don't need to worry about not being able to hold onto a weight, because these are going to provide that support for you to do so. Now, if you don't have wrist straps already, even a general trainer, somebody that just goes to the gym a few days a week but still wants to get maybe stronger, they still want to be able to not have to worry about holding on to a weight because they feel they can't progress up the way because they can't hold on to a specific weight, these are what is going to be your best friend. So if you don't have these already, get a set of wrist straps now. Liquid chalk. Again, I don't even know if you can see that or if it's going to focus on there. However, liquid chalk, again guys, it's not an essential. Is it necessary? Yeah, I probably say it would, especially whenever it comes to, again, you might be sweating within the gym, or for example, somebody might have been sweating on the machine before you, and it's obviously putting your grip in that point where you don't want it to be kind of sliding all over the place. Liquid chalk, again, it doesn't make a mess. It's so easy to use, and personally myself, I use it on deadlifts. Even although I use my straps, I still use liquid chalk, sometimes even on dumbbell presses, just to make sure that my grip is staying in that position. Like I said, it's cheap as hell. Liquid chalk makes no mess like a chalk ball would, where you would obviously put it all over the place. You would clap because your ego hits, and it would go all over the place, and then by the end of the day somebody's got to really clean your mess up. Liquid chalk makes no mess whatsoever, and like I've said to you already, it's cheap as chips. These are actually double prong riot clips from Strength Shop. So if you are like me and you've been in the position where the bar has essentially blew up because the clips did not stay on multiple times, may I add, something like these are absolutely perfect. Now, realistically speaking, your gym's probably not going to have these clips because these are specific, a little bit dearer riot collar clips from Strength Shop. Now again, like I've said to you already, the majority of gyms nowadays, I mean, if your gym doesn't have general clips, then I feel sorry for you, because 99% of gyms should have these, and 99%, to be fair, 99% of gyms do have them. So the majority of the time it would need to be a total one-off if you went to a gym and they never had these. However, if you're wanting clips that are a little bit stronger and aren't going to go anywhere and are also relatively light as well, I mean, I would never classify clips as extra weight on a bar, then these are most definitely suited towards you. But like I've said to you already, you don't really need to worry about the clips, because at the end of the day, the majority of gyms will have these. Now, last but not least, we have got your belt. Now, belts come in all sort of support. You can get lever belts, buckle belts, you can get belts that even provide next to no support whatsoever. They just look pretty cool because they've got your name on it. But at the end of the day, a belt is going to help you with bracing, core control. It's going to support your back, which at the end of the day, a lot of people just do think that a belt is that little bit extra support, so they always want to use it, which is totally cool. This, of course, is a lever belt right here. I don't actually have my buckle belt on me. However, a lever belt, again guys, is not essential, but if you want to get super fucking strong and you want to be able to take these sort of sets to that next level, and you want to remain as supported as possible, then a lever belt I would recommend. If you're wanting a belt for just a little bit of support for your general movements, I'm not talking about things like big deadlifts, etc., or squats, then a buckle belt is totally fine for you. That's a normal belt where you will essentially just be able to tighten it as much as you want. It won't provide that much support. It won't be as thick as something like this, like a lever belt. However, I personally love to use a lever belt and would only use a lever belt on things like squat variations or deadlifts. On anything else, I will just use my normal buckle belt just to help with my breathing, my core control, and just to help with me more so when I want to brace harder on them extra few reps at the very end. But apart from that, guys, that is going to be my rundown. That is going to be my big top tip in terms of how you can more so put your progression in a position where it can last long term over just a few weeks because you've essentially got no support whatsoever, or your grips went, or you've ended up injuring yourself. Again, you've got to take on board that these are providing support around that joint area where you maybe need it, because you've got to take on board that from a resistance training perspective, we are always in that vulnerable spot where we are centimetres away from getting injured. So whenever you use this support, it is not cheating. Do not listen to anybody if they tell you it's cheating. If they do tell you that, and they're twice the size of me and they deadlift an extra 100 kilograms on top of me, so that would be 430 kilograms for that matter, then fine, fair enough, listen to them. But the majority of the time, if somebody tells you that stuff like this is cheating, it's because either you're doing better than them, or they are probably 10 stone soaking wet. They bicep curl 2.5 kilograms because they think it's optimal, and they probably don't deadlift because they don't think it's safe. But without further ado, guys, no more rambling on. I hope you can take something from this. Like I said, Strength Shop, Kiffy West, it will get you some discount off. But that is my gym bag. There's nothing else in it. I don't take anything else to the gym. I do actually have sniffing salts, but they're not essential or necessary even as well. They are just something for a little bit of an extra hit. But apart from that, guys, let's just get on with the rest of this video.